How can I replace you at Google?
So it's a culture of optimism, it's a culture of risk-taking, and I think that's really important. So
Optimism is your solution.
what we are doing, this is not a zero-sum game. We are all doing something for the very long term, and a lot of stuff which will transcend companies and so on. So I take a very long-term perspective. I also want it to be fun when you come to work every day. So
Are there any Jedi mind tricks that you're employing that maybe people aren't seeing that you're doing to motivate your employees?
For me, it mainly is I've always been very passionate. So, I'm an optimist about how technology can make a difference. And so I focus on that, and that way you kind of tend to forget about the other things. The rest is noise, so in some ways.
Optimism is your solution.
I think that's how, in Silicon Valley, part of the reason so many people start up a company is, starting up a company and even having failed, you can wear it like a badge of honor, right? And I think that's important. Culturally, risk is rewarded. I remember when I started working at Google, if I went and people were discussing ideas, the other people who heard the ideas try to build on those ideas. They encourage you. So it's a culture of optimism. It's a culture of risk-taking, and I think that's really important. So.
How can I replace you at Google?
I would tell them, be careful what you wish for. Happy to discuss this with them over a cup of chai. So,
Right. And of course, you've been. I heard you say that Gavaskar was your favorite cricketer when you were growing up. And you used to listen to the commentary on radio. India versus West Indies.
Yeah.
Gavaskar used to score hundreds.
Yeah.
In the Windies against those fast bowlers. And of course, you mentioned Tendulkar as well, right? But who's your favorite cricketer today? Do you follow cricket? I mean,
I follow cricket. And I don't get as much time as I used to, but they keep making the game shorter and shorter. So it gets easier to follow. I definitely follow cricket. Like with everyone here, I think watching Kohli through the last year has been incredible. I didn't think somebody could have an average above 50 in all forms of the game, Test cricket, one days and T20. So it's been phenomenal to see.
And were you a cricketer yourself? Did you play while you were at...
And not very good. I couldn't even make it to the KGP team, so sorry.
Okay, great. I think Sundar, it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you for taking the time out to be here.
I hope not. I think one of the things which is exciting, I'm excited to be speaking here, is, I do think there are many, many different paths you take. And I think especially I was telling someone on the way over here, last week someone on Twitter tweeted to me and said, thank you on behalf of Indians, this was Indian American, but he tweeted to me and said, thank you on behalf of all Indian Americans for not being a doctor. And, showing other paths exist. And I hope it's the same. Being in the US, I find people take a remarkably varied number of paths. And, so I do think it's important to follow your dream and do something which you're, excited by. So I think if you follow your heart and do what you like, you will always do much better. And so I don't think it matters that you're an engineer or you're in science, or it could be in any field. And I think, I think you're a good example of, having gone to IAM and switching and being, at that time, I distinctly was impressed by the fact that you were bold enough to do something like that. But I think it's phenomenal. You did something which, you followed your heart, and I think those are...
What's your advice for a student of mathematics like me who is not studying core computer science? How can I get a job at Google? How can we work at the dream company Google?
So how many people here want to work for Google?
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe we should open a campus in Kharagpur. The good news I would have for you is, mathematics is foundational. Earlier I talked about machine learning. If you look at what machine learning is, a lot of it is just, most of the two real improvements in machine learning algorithms, it's all mathematics. In fact, I think it's easier to train a good mathematician, train them on the computer science needed to become a machine learning expert than the other way about. So, I actually think you're on a good... There was, a couple things. I did, not for fun, but, I did dream of, just like I'm sure like many Indians dreamt of being a cricketer. I used to be a huge...
You did?
Yeah, I used to I used to be a huge fan of, sorry, I'm old, but I used to be a huge fan of Gavaskar, when he was playing. And later on Sachin when he played, but so I always had a dream. On a more serious note, I always loved technology growing up, and so I had dreams of just not exactly what I would do, but I wanted to, at that time, I used to read about what was happening in Silicon Valley, and I wanted to go be a part of it. So I didn't exactly dream a career as much as a destination. What attracted me to Google and to internet in general is that it's a great equalizer, right? And so to me, I've always been struck by the fact that Google search worked the same if, as long as you had access to computer with connectivity, if you were a rural kid anywhere, or if you were a professor at Stanford or Harvard. And to me, I want Google to strive to push to do that, not just build technology for a certain segments, right? For me, it matters that we drive technology as an equalizing force, as an enabler to everyone around the world.
How do you take on the challenge of staying number one?
From our perspective, and I think it's true for in technology in particular, the world keeps changing, as I said earlier. So, a big part of what I focus on at any given time is, making sure we are innovating and building products for the future. It's just got to be a normal course of how you think. And so, we are constantly thinking about what to do next. So, Android is very popular. People are using smartphones, but, I always sit and think about what is the next version of how people use computing, right? And so we are thinking about things like virtual reality or augmented reality. So these are all new areas, but we are constantly thinking about it. And so you have to do that on a constant basis to push forward. My background, so I was always interested in technology, and the first chance I could get to program, I learned programming, and so for me, I never thought of it as switching fields as much as when the internet started happening. It took me a while to realize the power of it, and it became obvious to me for the first time we are going to have something which could, connect one day all of humanity and would profoundly transform what people did. So I wanted to be a part of that, so, part of that journey. So that's how I thought of it, and so I didn't think of it as necessarily switching careers. To answer your second question, absolutely, I would actually encourage all of you, if at some point in your life, you have to work with people where you feel a bit insecure, right? That's essential, because that means you're working with people who are better than you and who are pushing you, right? And so I always encourage, if you actually feel very secure in what you do, that means you're doing something comfortable and you're not pushing yourself. And so there are many, many times I've felt working with people in a group, am I doing enough? These people seem much better than me, and I think that's an inherent part of learning.